Welcome to the Empowered Catholic Podcast with Karen and Curtis Herbert, where we combine the best of theology, science, and coaching to inspire your empowerment. It's our mission to help you release the inner obstacles that are holding you back from embracing true Christian freedom, so the power of the Holy Spirit can manifest in you. So if you believe that God has more for you, if you want to believe that God has more for you, listen on, my friend.
Hello, and welcome to the Empowered Catholic Podcast. I'm Curtis. I'm here with Karen.
Hello. It's great to be here, and we have a treat for everyone today, don't we, Curtis?
Absolutely. This is one of our favorite topics. It is highly effective, it's very practical, and it's powerful all at the same time.
Yeah. So this is our season for models, the different models that we use in our coaching practice. And this is I would say this is the model that kicked it all off for us. Curtis.
It really is. This is a mindset. It's a model. And if you practice this model, you will find yourself to be, among other things, much more empowered than you ever were before.
It is so true. So when Curtis and I first got into coaching, this was the model that we started to adopt, and we immediately felt the shift. It just gave us a perspective on what was really happening in our life from moment to moment. And it gave us the language to talk about it and recognize what was going on and make the shifts that we wanted to make. This is called the energy model. And it can totally revolutionize how you think about what is going on in your life. So earlier I was asking Curtis, and this is the nice thing about being married to a biochemical engineer, is you can at least ask all of your crazy questions about science. So I'm like, Curtis, so how does energy work in the body at the physical level? So, we deal with spiritual, mental, emotional, and physical as the layers of the human being. And I was like, hey, how does energy work on the physical level? And he starts talking and talking and talking. And it was about mitochondria and ADP and ATP and how the ions move and electrical currents in your body. And it's this extremely complicated and complex reality. I was like, wow. That is amazing. That is just amazing. And I couldn't tell you anything about it except that it's pretty incredible. And one thing he said really stood out to me. And that was that, at all times, your body is managing a kind of equilibrium unto itself. It's like its own environment. For example, the temperature of your body doesn't just match the outside temperature like you're a reptile or something. You maintain your own equilibrium. And when it comes to spiritual, mental, and emotional energy, which is what our model addresses, I just think that's a great analogy, because this is how we use the model, is to understand, manage, and regulate our spiritual, mental, and emotional energy in a way that's very high level and powerful.
Your body's keeping many things in its own special level of equilibrium at the same time. Your salt content, there's a bazillion different kinds of ions, and we have to have the right mix of them. Your body temperature, for sure, we're keeping that within a certain range. And all of these things are actually at dynamic equilibrium. That means that, for instance, energy is leaving us all the time, and energy has to be created within us all the time. It's like a bucket. You've got a bucket with some holes. That's the energy leaving. That's fine. Your body's got things to do. It's got an energy budget to spend. And the bucket has to be continually filled up. And you can imagine that the level of the bucket is going to be at equilibrium when the rate of water leaving the bucket is equal to the rate of water that comes in.
Right. And this is something we don't always think about on the non-physical levels of being, and yet it's the very same concept.
And think about how much conscious energy you put into, for instance, maintaining a comfortable body temperature. You're used to getting dressed, looking outside, adding layers of clothes. In Minnesota, taking them off, putting them on, taking them off, making sure you have things to eat so you have energy, maybe a hot drink. You're doing lots of things automatically to maintain just your body temperature equilibria. And other areas of life, spiritual, mental, emotional, social, also require energy. And they're also in kind of a dynamic equilibrium. As things challenge our equilibriums, things happen.
Right.
Then we need more energy. We need some actions or solution or some kind of response to get things back at the right set point. There is a lot that goes into your spiritual life. You know that. It's always kind of leaking away. And that's kind of how life works. And that's why we're always filling it up.
Yeah. Yeah. I like to think that I can tell when I'm managing my energy well. Well, here's an example. If you've ever been in a situation where you're looking around and somehow the environment you're in is just pulling you down, or things are happening and your internal spiritual, mental, emotional energy is just succumbing to what's around you. That's a state where you're not able to manage your own internal energy equilibrium. Whereas when you can show up with the kind of energy you want, regardless of what's happening around you or what other people are doing, that's a sign that you're really managing well your own energy.
That's right. When we find ourselves merely adopting the spiritual, mental, emotional, social temperature of the people around us, that tells us that we're not doing much to control our own equilibrium. And we could master that capability and have a much different experience, a much better experience, a more powerful experience.
Exactly. So I think you could see why we just love this model in our coaching relationships as we help and guide people in that endeavor to manage their energetic equilibrium.
And let's get practical here, Karen. So how can you break down this concept into some usable chunks for us?
Right. Okay. Well, let's just try to talk about energy a little bit so people can start to notice it in their life when they're experiencing it. Is that okay?
I'm not sure. Let's hear what you have to say.
Okay. I wasn't totally sure what you meant, but that's what I want to talk about.
Read my mind.
Let's talk about it. Okay. So the simplest basic concept is there's two kinds of energy, right? There's two buckets you can think of. And there's more distinctions. There's, actually 7 levels that we go through with our clients. But this is the most helpful because you can pretty easily start to discern which bucket you're in, which bucket of energy. And we call one of it catabolic energy. We use the biological term as an analogy. And we call the other one anabolic energy, catabolic and anabolic. So I just want to describe these a little bit, and I think you'll pretty clearly be able to understand what they are.
I'm with you.
Excellent. So catabolic energy, it's just this kind of draining energy. So like when you feel drained, when you feel exhausted, and exhaustion can be physical, but it can also be spiritual, mental, emotional. It can also show up in just how you're approaching things in your life. So if you're feeling really full of worry, fear, self-doubt, if you're having a lot of guilt feelings, those are catabolic types of energy. They're pulling you down. They're draining you. It's like I just feel like I have no power, no control. I'm totally at the mercy of everything around me. I just have to succumb to what everybody else is doing and the way all these other situations are going. That's catabolic.
I think of catabolic like going into the cave. And sometimes it's okay to go into the cave, yet if you live your life in the cave, it's not so great, actually.
Right. That's an interesting point, Curtis, because one of the key ways to know you're having catabolic energy is you're experiencing avoidance. Avoidance. So you're going into the cave so you don't have to go out there and face the other things that are out there.
That's right. And it can be in different areas of life.
Yes.
We might be real go-getters in one area of life. We see this a lot with people that have very engaged work and they're doing great at work and they are avoiding in other areas of life and they're not really realizing it.
That's pretty classic, Curtis. And simply asking the question, what am I avoiding? And sitting with that question for a while, things will bubble up in your life and you'll start to notice kind of catabolic energy around that situation, that relationship, the conversation you're not having, the thing you kind of want to do, but you're just not doing it.
When you're feeling that you have no choices, no options, no power, when you're feeling disempowered.
Disempowered.
That's a sign that you're resting in catabolic energy. This is the energy of blaming other things, other people, circumstances, avoidance, replaying the past endlessly to no effect.
Yeah.
These are all catabolic behaviors.
Right, right. And, we don't want to avoid conflict. At the same time, we could be engagers with conflict. We can really experience a lot of conflict in a certain area. And that can also be a sign of catabolic energy. When we're focused on what's wrong, what this person is doing, what they're not doing, we're getting caught in a blame game cycle. I'm doing this and you're not doing that. And what's wrong here and who's to blame? That's a very catabolic kind of energy.
Often continuing the fight about who did what to whom is not productive. Yet when we're continuously engaged in that, that's a kind of catabolic energy. It's not empowering. It's not getting us out of the cave into this area of, well, what is it I'm supposed to be doing?
Right. This is a kind of catabolic energy you see a lot in certain workplaces where it's all driven by everybody wanting to get ahead. And I don't really care about other people as long as you don't blame me. And if you blame me, I'm going to shift the blame to somebody else because I don't want to carry it. I just want to get ahead. And when you're in these kind of shame and blame cultures, you really feel that energy, man. It just really can suck you down.
And often it's because the people driving the culture don't know how to create anabolic energy. They don't know what that is. Anabolic energy, it's a constructive energy. It's expanding. It's the energy of creation and healing. It's growth oriented. It's helping us to move forward to achieve positive and long-term results for leading others along that road with us. And it's very helpful as we move out of stress reactions. We start to see more possibilities and we become more open to seeing opportunities and solutions and innovations. Anabolic energy is embracing the good that's available to us and acknowledging that we have some options, we have some power, and we can do what we're supposed to do and do what is helpful for the situation.
Yeah. There a couple of thoughts are coming to me. One is what you said about it's just very creative. It's movement oriented. It's going forward. And I'm thinking about all those processes in the body that you were describing to me about creating energy and all the things the body is doing, all the movement that's happening in the cells and internally in the cells and between the cells, and just how just moving forward oriented that kind of energy was. And so it's like this growth, this central growth kind of concept that really encompasses anabolic. And I think of, the distinction between catabolic and anabolic. It's like that shift when you can let go of the fear, the worry, the guilt, the anger, the blame, the resentment, the resistance, the need to fight, all of that. And you can move into this new place of, you know what? I can take responsibility for myself, for my own mental, emotional, spiritual state, for what I'm responsible for. And I'm not a victim to everything else. I have some power here. I'm empowered to create change. And if you can think of like, oh yeah, I know what that shift feels like when I move out of the cave of the catabolic and into the light of new growth and healing and movement. I think we all know what that feels like.
Here's an example of how this might play out for you. I was sitting at my desk. I was working at home one day, very focused on a task, and a kid came up to me and said, I have to go to work in 5 minutes.
Ooh.
And the first thing I thought was, well, great. Why is this happening to me? I have to finish this task, and now I've got this demand on me. And then my next thought was, where's mom? I think I actually said that. And the kid was like, well, I would have gotten mom if she were available. Trust me. She didn't say that. And then I thought, okay, well, it is what it is. And I can probably get all my stuff done or work a little later or what have you. We'll get through this. And I started to, as we got ready to go and so forth, I started to realize, wait a minute, I've been wanting this kid to have a good experience getting some work done at this stage of their life. And it's good that they're being proactive and mindful of their deadlines, even if it's somewhat down to the wire. And it was an opportunity to do something for this member of my family. And I began to appreciate that there were good things happening in this situation. And I made an effort to adjust my attitude so that the trip to the workplace was relatively pleasant and not just with grumpy dad.
Right. So it's like you had initial catabolic response of, oh, great, I'm the victim of your work schedule that you didn't communicate to me. And now I have to adjust everything for you. And there's some frustration and some blame, what have you. And then really, because you knew what you were dealing with and you had some tools, you could shift into this other kind of energy that was much more positive and creative and didn't like ruin the next hour of both of your lives, because there was stuff that could happen there that was good. And you can come back around to the communication issue, but you really intentionally shifted from catabolic to anabolic energy.
Karen, we actually have a lot to say. And I think in terms of how to shift these energy levels and why it's so helpful and powerful, I think we could say more.
Yeah, we can say more. I mean, ultimately, we have to work with people to help them know how to do this. But we've got tons of stuff to share. So next time, I think let's come back and we're going to dig a little bit more into catabolic and anabolic energy. And there's a number of different kinds of anabolic energy that really can serve you in different situations. So we're going to really dig into what those are and how to embrace them.
That sounds great, Karen. And my friends, we are at empoweredcatholics.com. There's many ways to get in touch with us. We love hearing from you, and we'll see you next week.
Thank you for being here with us this week. Visit our website at empoweredcatholics.com to learn more about us. And remember, as Pope Francis says, God comes to break open everything that keeps you closed in.